PLTV is excited to keep you informed of all kinds of revolutionary things happening in and around our great city of St. Louis. Today, I'm joined by students and staff from Principia School, the very first school in our region to implement smart labs, also known as Idea Labs. Now, these labs offer students state-of-the-art learning environments focused on STEM principles. In addition to this, Principia recently hosted the first high school mediation tournament in the United States, and their student-led team placed first in the competition. We're super excited to bring you students and staff related to both topics today. Joining me right now are Dr. Peter Dry, Assistant Head of School Strategy and Innovation. We've got Molly Grant, Idea Lab Facilitator of the lower school, and Tommy Trailer, STEM Facilitator and Integration Specialist. Thank you all for being here with us today.
Good to be here. Thanks, Ivy.
Well, let's start with you, Peter. Tell us a little bit more about what are these Idea Labs and why are they such an integral part of the educational experience at Principia School?
Well, the Idea Labs are really these tech-rich rooms that provide opportunities for students to engage in innovative STEM activities, where they solve problems, they get to be creative, they collaborate with others, all in the name of connecting STEM to some real world and relevant challenges that the students may face. And the reason why we put these together was that we know the world has changed dramatically. I don't think I have to say that after our last year. And we find now, of course, that the world, of course, is also more digitally connected. We are interconnected. And whatever work the students are going to do out in the world, they're going to have to work side by side with technology. So they need a certain skill set and a comfort level in order to really thrive in this new work environment. And we know tech's going to play a huge part in solving the planet's problems too. So our mission to better humanity is perfectly combined in this space.
Well, it sounds like it's a lot of hands-on opportunity. So Tommy and Molly, as the Idea Lab facilitators, tell us specifically what kinds of skills are you teaching students and what kind of unique projects are going on in the labs right now?
Great. Well, I love to jump right on in and answer some of those. So we're really jumping into a lot of great skills such as circuitry and computer graphics and digital communications, robotics and control technology, even sustainability, as Peter Dry was talking about. We're really looking into those areas as well. And those are just some of the skills. And these skills are then transferred into some of those labs that you asked about, which are using the DGI, RoboMaster, the AI and visual performance to stimulate rescue missions. Students are building and racing and tracking data of solar cars that they have. There are even projects where students are able to work with music, such as using the GarageBand, but looking at scientifically looking at how sound changes with different types of sounds and tones and things like that. So we have a lot of programs with these skills that are coupled with these skills that we are teaching here in our Idea Lab.
Molly, I mean, talk about, because you work with a younger set of students, more middle school and younger ages.
Younger, and right now, currently kindergarten through 5th grade, and next year we'll be adding 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds to the program.
Wow. What are the reactions from these students when they get their hands on or get this exposure to some of these things that you've seen so far?
Pure excitement. A lot of screaming happens, and I keep trying to kind of calm them down a little bit, because what's so interesting to me, the labs are difficult. I mean, they're truly having to solve and resolve and be okay with failing in order to persevere through to be successful. And they're learning how to collaborate and lean on each other to help them through the project cycle. But the interesting thing is the frustration level is so low, even if it takes them so many times to figure it out, because they are so engaged. They've got the buy-in, so they're willing to keep pushing through. And that's such a huge skill set in today's world, especially where things don't come easy the first time around. around. And sometimes it takes a couple times to solve a math problem or to read something that's really difficult in your class. So for them to actually really be working through those skills in the Idea Lab where it seems fun to them, and I'm looking at them going, if you only knew how hard it is what you just solved. It took me, one class period to figure it out on my own. And then they come in, because I always try and do it first so that I'm familiar with what they're going to be working through. And then they come in and do it. And I'm like, whoa, that took me longer than it took them. So just the excitement and them understanding and seeing the relevance, because what's so interesting when you think about their world and the technology that they see and they're surrounded with, they haven't really put two and two together at this age. So when they go shopping at Schnucks and they see a robot that's going up and down, the aisles, and you ask them about that and what technology is used, programming is used for that robot. And they're kind of like, wait, what? And then for them to see that they can build and create and program, whether it's robots or coding an app on, their iPad, but that they start to understand that what they're doing actually is out there in the real world. And we watched, videos about Tesla cars and, machines that are using to build, those kind of vehicles. And so they're actually making these real world connections and then connections within their own classrooms. And so that's, really, really fun for them to be able to work on projects and their writing and their reading and their science curriculum in class, and then come to the Idea Lab where we can supplement that for them.
I recently read a little bit about career development in middle school and high school students, and then we talked assessing them and their interests, right? And so many times, especially for students of color or students who identify as female, there's this discrepancy between what they think they're good at and what their interests are. And usually that's in the math, science, and the STEMmy kind of things. I can only imagine, Tommy or Peter, if you want to answer this, or even Molly, what that this is helping even that out. Like you're getting some exposure, and these students who really didn't think they had set are now discovering, oh, this is something I could do, or the idea that they didn't even know that this existed, Molly, as you talked about. Tommy or Peter, a comment on that?
I'll just jump in at a higher level, just to give you a sense of where we're going as Principia. As part of our mission with these STEM labs is actually to close the equity gap. We really want to give as many students around St. Louis access to technology, to STEM, because we know that out there in St. Louis, there are phenomenal coders and engineers and app developers, and we want to give them that opportunity. The under-resourced population that unfortunately we have in St. Louis, let's bring, to be able to make that connection. And Tommy and Molly are passionate about that aspect. But I'll let Tommy dive a little deeper into how he's seeing it actually happening day to day in the classroom.
Absolutely. This type of problem-based work is so exciting to students because they're jumping into fields that they never thought interesting at all, because they're able to actually do and practice the material that they're looking and researching on. Some things that project-based work does, it creates that critical thinking. So you're not even thinking about what's normal, what do you like? You're just getting outside of yourself, because you've already opened yourself to a vulnerable place because you're working on something you've never done before, and you're possibly not good at it, but you got a group and everyone's relying on you, and that teamwork, that push, that thrive causes you to think critically, and it causes you to start to be excited about those materials in those labs that we're working with. So we're seeing students who like to do video games who've never even played video games, especially some of the young women in our classes. They like video games. Now they plan them and they're creating and coding. And that's so exciting. That's because we want more people of color, more women in the STEM fields. That is so important. And that's something we really want to drive home here as well.
Well, Peter, Principia School is a private school, and, we've got probably a larger population of public school students in the St. Louis region. So what are some opportunities that you plan to offer for local teachers and professional development as it relates to this?
Yeah, we probably would have done a whole lot more had it not been for this global pandemic that hit us. that we have developed some really good partnerships with both schools and organizations in the city of St. Louis. And so right now we are busy looking at how can we now add the STEM piece to the relationships that we've had. We have partnership projects that go on. Our students actually do what we call urban experience, where they actually go down into the city of St. Louis, and that's where they do school for a week. That's about to begin next week. So our aim is really to connect students with their world, and thankfully the faculty are truly inspired by this vision and are not even on board. These two people in particular are driving the train to provide access to our current and future partners.
I want to thank you all. I mean, it's been exciting for me to be here with you guys and hear about this, and for us to have something so cutting edge here in the St. Louis area. As we wrap up this interview and we get ready to move into learning more about the mediation competition, why don't we take a look at some video of what the Idea Labs are doing, what some of the students are working on.
Goes up there, not like that.
I want to thank Peter, Tommy, and Molly for helping shed some light on the new Smart STEM Labs there at Principia School. And joining me now are staff and students involved in the first ever mediation tournament, an international experience that had 3 St. Louis area schools participating. And we have with us the first place team as well, a couple of the members from that. I'd like to welcome Don Starrett, Director of Instructional Coaching and Teacher Training, Patty Fox, Mediation Tournament Key Organizer and a Principia School Resident Counselor, Luca Cavanis, a student at Principia Upper School, and Lucio Hambeliki, student at Principia's Upper School as well. Thank you all for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Let's start. Yeah, thanks for being here. Patty, let's go ahead and start with you. So for all of us who aren't familiar with what a mediation tournament really entails, can you describe what it's all about and share some of the highlights of the event with us?
Sure. So a mediation tournament involves teams of three students. Each student plays a role of a mediator, a client, and an advocate. What's cool also about a mediation tournament is they pair up with another student from another team, and they are co-mediators to try to solve the case. So they're immediately working with somebody they just met to find a common solution. So they mediate a real life lawsuit. They find a solution. They have about an hour and a half to do that. And then at the end of that, they're being judged by, we had an amazing group of judges that are lawyers and mediators throughout the country because we were on Zoom. So we were able to bring people in from all over, and they gave feedback at the end of the tournament to the students. So they all did 3 rounds, and then they had a final round of the teams from each school. And we hosted that this year at Principia. So as you mentioned, it's the first time they do it they do it at the college level and the law school level. But one of the founders of college mediation suggested, Dick Calkins, why don't we try it at the high school level? And Don got on board, our administration got on board, and we formed a committee with awesome individuals in the area, and we went for it.
Well, Don, how did Principia get roped in, like, rather than, and then getting some Jefferson and Thomas Jefferson School in on this, but you guys hosting it, how did that come about?
Well, it was, so I'm also in charge of the social studies department. So Patty came to me and said, hey, I've got this idea. Let's look into it. And I was like, well, this is great because we've done things like mock trial in the past, model UN, debate, but this really had a new appeal because mediation really is about, you still have conflict, but it's how to, make it work. How can you not just yell at each other? And so we went, created a committee. It was really cool. And the cool thing about mediation is it really is an international experience. So we had people on the committee and helping out we had people in Iowa, Illinois, going and saying, how do we do this? We advertised in a number of places, sent out to different social studies teachers, different schools saying, hey, who wants to be involved? We actually got quite a few, even more schools that want to be involved at first, but with the pandemic, it was tough to figure that out. And it was just an exciting thing to see how many people got in there. And it really, Patty and Dick Hawkins really got it rolling and then moving. And I think by the end, we probably had, 15, 16 people involved, depending whether they were judges or other things, not only like around the country and around the world. So it was really an exciting, team effort.
Awesome. Luca, you were one of the students on this winning experience and this first time experience, but what did you find the most challenging thing about this experience?
Well, I think the most challenging part of mediation, and this is my first time doing it, was striving to be that perfect middle party that had no bias towards one side or the other, remaining neutral. Because, well, I'm like a very opinionated person. So I've always thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And when you get into that mediation setting, you kind of have to throw your opinions out the window. It's really easy to say, oh, well, I agree with this side, or I think this party should win the settlement. But as a mediator, you're trying to bridge that gap, not make it any bigger. So that was probably the most challenging. And the biggest thing I will probably take away from mediation is, in real life too, just trying to bridge those gaps with people instead of make them further apart.
Lucio, what do you think other students who might be watching this segment should know about this experience?
Well, just like Lucas said, mediation is about mending relationships. So I feel like for people in the future who want to think of joining mediation should just know they'll take away like the skill of learning to like stop conflicts and just solve problems with people, which is, I think, really helpful for college and just like future stuff that we're gonna do. So like that's what I really enjoyed about mediation, because it's given me like the skill to like mend relationships with my friends, parents, and I feel like that's a very useful thing that many people could use if they join it.
Yeah, it's really relevant, you guys, right? In today's experience in terms of how you're digesting information that's given to you, and then how are you formulating not only opinions, but how are you talking about it with your friends and family? It sounds like that's been an experience for you, Lucio, huh? Awesome. Well, Patty, do you think this is something that you guys will host again in the future?
Absolutely. We had a kind of a debrief meeting with our committee, and we're all on board. We're hoping to do one in the fall and to expand to some other schools in the area. And I think, following up with what Luca and Lucio said, that just providing these opportunities for students to really have to grapple with these tough challenges and really think creatively, collaboratively, and critically right in the moment and develop solutions just really sets students up to be leaders going forward, and just taking these skills, into college and afterwards. I mean, I love that Principia has really adopted this, and I can see more and more students in schools wanting to provide these opportunities for students to really learn these skills. And having it as a tournament makes it fun, instead of saying, hey, we're just going to solve this. Like, they want to compete. And we had, I think, 20 students that jumped on board, and we were all rookies learning together, but we did a survey afterwards. The kids were excited. And I think one of my favorite quotes was, one of the students said, mediation was challenging but fun. It was nice to be able to compromise and have a win-win solution. It taught me to be a peacemaker and not an instigator. So I think going forward into the world, having kids want to find solutions and not, I want to tear the other person apart. So I was grateful.
Wonderful. Well said. Don, so how can other schools or educators learn more about implementing something like this?
They can contact Principia, but we'll be sending out more information about that as we get there. And it's just, I just want to say as a teacher, it's so exciting because we're always looking for real world, authentic experiences. And, mediation, mediators are jobs. I mean, these are high paid things that people do. And so it's just so great that it's sort of ready made to put your students in it's the only team I know of where you put your students in a competition and they actually have to work with the people on the other team, not just beat them. So, but yeah, we will be sending it out to other schools in the area, and we hope lots of people come and participate.
Thank you all so much for sharing this unique experience with us. I always love seeing innovative ways we continue to inspire our kids and help promote their ongoing personal growth. Congratulations to you all. Thanks for being here. And if you'd like to find other innovative things happening in and around St. Louis, be sure to check out STL TV's extensive coverage on Facebook, YouTube, and our website. Plus, our Insta stories are always full of infotainment. After all, STL TV is where you can truly experience St. Louis.